Hi, I'm Greg Patent, and today we're going to be making angel food cake, which is really easy if you follow a few simple rules. We begin with egg whites, and I have 1.5 cups of egg whites that are almost at room temperature, but actually all they really need to be is not refrigerator temperature, so about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Put them into the bowl, turn the machine on, and what you're going to want to do first, and I'm always amazed when you take this gloppy egg white and you turn it on in the machine and let it whip a little bit. It starts frothing up. We're beating air into it. And in about 30 seconds or so, it'll be frothy, and at that point we can add our cream of tartar. So this is what I mean by frothy. There's just some bubble formation on the top, and then here's the cream of tartar, 1.5 teaspoons. I started with 1.5 cups of egg whites, 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is an acid, it's a stabilizer, and it makes the whites stable so they're not going to lose the air that you've taken the time to beat into them. Also make sure that your bowl and beater are absolutely free of grease. And then we're going to want to beat this probably for a minute or two on a medium to a medium-high speed, just until the egg whites form soft peaks. Okay, let's check the whites and see what we have. Okay. You see how the egg whites kind of form peaks, but then they kind of curl a bit. They're very soft and they're very creamy, and this is what you want them to be. You don't want them to be stiff at this point. You're just getting them ready to accept the sugar. So we're going to turn this on again at medium speed, and then I'm going to gradually add 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I've already sifted 3/4 of a cup of sugar with a cup of flour. I'm going to add that a little bit later, but I'm just going to add this sugar gradually, about a tablespoon or so at a time. And then once all of the sugar has been added, I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and then increase the speed to medium-high, and then keep beating the whites until they form stiff peaks. Okay, now these whites have filled the bowl. I'm always just absolutely blown away by what happens to egg whites. And let me just show you what a stiff peak is. Move this out of the way. That's a stiff peak. You see how the whites hold their shape in the spatula? And then if you actually look right down close as I'm swirling the spatula around, you can see that when I lift it up, you got stiff peaks, and that's exactly what you want. Now, this bowl is totally filled with egg whites, and we need to fold the dry ingredients into here. So I'm going to go get a bowl and scrape these whites into the bowl. And what you have done with all of the beating is that you have created millions of little air cells. And the point here from now on is to make sure that you maintain as much of the air as possible in these egg cells. So these egg white cells. So here's the whites in this nice wide bowl, and then we're going to start folding in the dry ingredients. Okay, I have, in the sifter, I have 1 cup of cake flour. So these egg white cells. So here's the whites in this nice wide bowl, and then we're going to start folding in the dry ingredients. Okay, I have in the sifter, I have 1 cup of cake flour, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I've sifted it together 4 or 5 times just to mix it really, really well. Sift about 1/4 to 1/5 of the dry ingredients over the egg whites, and I just want to show you this folding motion. What you want to do is incorporate the dry ingredients in and deflate the whites as little as possible. So you go all the way to the bottom of the bowl, scoop up the whites, bring it to the top, turn your bowl 1/4 of a turn, and just keep repeating the motion until most of the dry ingredients are incorporated. Then take another 1/4 or so of the dry ingredients and just repeat this process, remembering to turn the bowl around, and you really are folding in the dry ingredients, and the object is to maintain as many of the egg cells as possible, the air cells that you've beaten in, without deflating the whites, because this is the only leavening that takes place in making an angel food cake. All of the dry ingredients are folded in. You can see how nice and creamy the batter is. Just be very gentle with it. And you can see why you need a wide bowl, because you need a lot of space in order to do all of the folding properly. And at this point, you want to just transfer the batter into your angel cake pan. This is an aluminum 2-piece. It's not non-stick, it's just a regular aluminum pan. I've had this pan probably for 30 years or so. And just scoop the batter into the pan, and when it's all in the pan, you're going to want to level it with the spatula. And then before you actually do that, I'll show you one more little trick. The batter is all in the cake pan, but when you look in the pan, you'll see that they're air pockets. So I'm just going to kind of flatten this out a little bit, and then take just a regular dinner knife and then run circles through the egg whites, actually through the batter. What you're doing is you're cutting any large air pockets so you don't have like ugly spaces in here. And then once it's all in there like that, then just take your spatula, turn the pan around like this, level it, and it's ready to go into a cold oven. I'll repeat that, a cold oven, not a preheated oven, on the lower third. And then you turn the oven on to 375 degrees, and you bake it for about 35 to 45 minutes until it's nice and puffed and brown. It'll rise to about 1 inch from the top. There'll be cracks in the cake, and a cake tester should come out clean, and it also should spring back when you press on it gently. And then when you run a thin bladed knife around the edge, it'll release the cake, and you just lift it out. And then once the cake is out of the pan and it's all cool, you cool the cake upside down. You probably know that, but when the cake comes out of the oven, you hang it upside down on a wine bottle, let it cool for about 3 hours, and then this keeps the structure of the cake intact. And then to remove it from the bottom of the pan, just rotate the cake like this. It'll dislodge it from the bottom of the pan. You don't really need to use another knife. And then turn it like that. And there's your angel food cake. Get it onto a dessert plate, cut it into slices. You can serve it plain. You can serve it with whipped cream or ice cream. I like doing some whipped cream and then some fresh fruit. And you have a very elegant dessert. If you have any questions, please write. Always happy to receive questions and comments. This is Greg Patent.